I finally finished my quilt and I'm very proud. Good morning everybody, it's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and this is vlog number 54 for January the 22nd, 2018. And I'm excited, as you could tell by my little teaser at the beginning of today's vlog, that behind me, hanging on the wall, serving as my backdrop for this particular vlog, is my quilt. I finally finished it. Now, I showed it yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live, but I'm just going to move out of the way here so you can get a little better look at it. And so there it is. It measures 35 by 35 inches. Actually, with the binding on it, it might be closer to 35 and a half or 36 inches square. Yeah, I'm really proud of what I've done. Now, are there flaws? Oh yes, there are some flaws in this, but really, to the average person looking at this, I don't think you'd really pick up on the flaws. Walter, of course, did, but he's like that. He's got an eye for detail. But I'm really proud of this, and the back of this, hope it doesn't fall down, you probably can't see, but the quilting comes through there. Now, I did not do free motion quilting on this. I do eventually want to try free motion quilting, but what I did was something called Stitch in the Ditch, which right here, in amongst all these rows, these little squares, I sewed right into the seam of the pieces. I will tell you one thing that I don't particularly like when I was making this quilt. When it came to doing the quilting, I hate these ones. These are each little individual squares and you have to quilt around each one of those. But live and learn. I'm also not particularly fond of making what they call log cabin squares. That's these squares here that kind of go around in a bit of a spiral. I didn't find the instructions very clear about those, but once I got going, it wasn't all that difficult. I don't know, there's something about them that doesn't really turn my crank. Doesn't necessarily mean I won't ever do them again, but we'll see. So anyways, I've got my inner border and my outer border, and of course my binding, and my binding came out perfect. And you know, I think I've mentioned that I've been struggling with doing bindings, but I think I have finally mastered it. So, if I do say so myself, I think this is a pretty damn good quilt, especially when it's my very first effort at it. So yeah, I'm proud and I'm bragging. I've got bragging rights to it. Okay, so let's move on to other things that I've been working on. Well, of course, I've been doing a lot of this quilting, as you know. So on the weekend, I want to finish this up, and I had my brother's sewing machine out, and my walking foot decided to give up the ghost. Actually, it happened latter part of last week. Went into my sewing store, asked about, could I buy a replacement walking foot? They said, yeah, you can, but they needed to see the machine. So I made arrangements to bring in the machine. In the meantime, I was carrying on doing some sewing with this brother machine. And remember, I got this at Costco and it was really cheap, $189 for it. And it got 50 stitches and it came with the extended table and the whole bit. And at the time, I wasn't that serious about sewing. I just wanted it more or less for a craft machine. Do stuff on tags and things like that. And then, of course, I got involved with the Cricut maker and in making bags and things like that. And that got me even more interested in sewing. And that, of course, led to quilting. Well, my walking foot, you need it when you do the quilting on this because of the number of layers in the quilt. And then I was using it for something else. And my needle threader that's on it's a little mechanism that comes down and puts a little hook through your eye of your needle and you can hook your thread through it, dropped off. Yeah, dropped off the machine. That's how cheap that machine was. I tried to fix it, couldn't, watch videos about it, didn't find anything that was really going to help me, let alone just like replace the whole mechanism, and all it was this one little piece, which I think was actually kind of glued onto it. That's why it came off. but it was really fiddly, and so I'm thinking to myself, what else is going to drop off this machine? Walter says, buy a new machine. Now, I had been thinking about buying a better machine, but I was holding that off until we got back from Australia. But anyways, I made up my mind. I was buying a new machine. So, of course, Walter did all kinds of research on the different sewing machines that this particular store I go to, they sell Janome. So he looked at all the different Janome models, and there are some beautiful machines, you know, that do everything except sew on their own, and even then they sort of do that. So I went into the store on Saturday, and Shirley, the store owner, said to me, oh, the walking foot, right. I says, actually, let's forget about the walking foot. I said, I want to buy a new sewing machine. Well, her eyes lit up. So off we went, looked at the sewing machines, and I ended up buying the Janome 6700P, which is a quilter's machine. She told me it is probably one of the few machines that is one step away from being an industrial style machine for home use. It's a gorgeous machine, and I did a little video about that, and that's linked in the links below. And I'm going to talk about that new series that I'm creating as well on there. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Needless to say, this machine is orgasmic. It's better than sex. I can tell you that right now. This machine cuts your thread. It'll go through multiple layers of material, hard material like denim, thick material, that kind of thing, like butter. It has close to 300 different stitch patterns, including several alphabet sets, so you can monogram. You can actually do whole words with it. Oh, it's like night and day difference between it and the Brother machine, and I'm still learning this one, although I'm finding it very intuitive. It threads like a dream. You don't even have to pull up your bobbin thread. It does that for you as soon as you start sewing. It is wonderful. Now, price. Actually, it was a pretty good deal. She asked me what my budget was, and I said, hold on to your apron strings, I said $3,000. I knew that there was no sense Mickey Mousing around here when you're buying something like this, a piece of technology like this. You know, I already blew through the Brother one. You got what you paid for there. So I figured, okay, I can go as high as $3,000. She says, ooh, she says, there's a lot you can choose from at that budget range. So of course she showed me the 6700P. Which I'd already been looking at online, so in the back of my mind I kind of knew that was the machine I was probably going to get. And yeah, $2,499 before tax. Not bad, because we looked it up online and a lot of places were selling it for over $3,000 American. So her prices are very reasonable. Of course, it comes with a lifetime lessons. So anytime I want to learn something on it that I'm having trouble with, I just go into the store and she'll show me how to do it, which is great. I don't think I'm going to have to do that too much, because as I said, this machine I find very intuitive. Yes, sewing machines can be intimidating with all the buzzers and bells, but you know, I don't look at a manual. I am bad for that. I want to get started immediately, and actually one thing that was good about this sewing machine, it came with a DVD that got you up and running with the basics very quickly. And then from there I just consult the manual when I decide, wonder if I can do, I go to the manual and see if I can do. But as I said, so far I'm very, very happy with it. I finished the quilt using it. It came with all of the feet you need for quilting. It came with 2 free motion quilting feet. It came with the walking foot, and it came with a whole bunch of other feet too with it. Now I am going to go into the store tomorrow, and I have a couple of questions I want to ask about the machine. They have something called the active foot or something system. I want to know a little bit more about that, and yeah, just some minor questions really. Just any excuse to go into that store, really. I love it. It's my new favorite store. This whole quilting thing. In fact, she offered me a job. Can you believe it? She's looking for somebody else to work in the store, and she's already got quite a few employees. And I said to her, yeah, first of all, I don't think I'm at the level where I could actually work in a sewing store. Thanks for the compliment, but I'm still a rank beginner here. And second of all, I did work for a little while after I retired part-time, you know, in a scrapbooking store, which is great. But I found it was getting in the way of my life. Quite frankly, I have a good pension. I don't need to work, and at the time I thought it was something to do, but I'm so busy with so many other projects and things right now, I don't have time to work for somebody else. Also, I like being my own boss in terms of scheduling my own time and things like that. I mean, I worked for 31 years as a teacher. I was, you know, my life was dictated by bells. And in fact, it took me a year and a half after I retired not to have my day scheduled around periods in the classroom, kind of a thing. You know, I'd be looking at the clock, oh, it's 10:15, I'm going into second period. This kind of thing, right? So I was very flattered by the fact that she asked me to consider it, but no. Don't have the confidence for that and don't want to do it. Simple as that. But I appreciate the gesture. Okay, so enough about the sewing business, because yeah, I'm obsessed, you know that. One other thing that I worked on, this was, I did this on the old Brother machine. I had this hoop laying around. I was looking through some books about sewing from Stampington and Company. I'm going to talk about those a little bit later. And I saw this idea for, you know, doing a mixed media piece with scraps of material and whatnot and pictures. So I did one. It's not that good, but this is what I did. So I had this embroidery hoop. I just grabbed some of the scraps. You'll notice a lot of them are the ones that are in the quilt. I had this picture from a trip that Walter and I were on. I'm not sure where this would be. Someplace. Whatever. Thought it was kind of interesting. He didn't want me to put it on here. Just the back of my head. I added some, you know, what we do in mixed media and art journaling. I've got some text dictionary pages and some music sheets torn up, and this one that was colored like this. And I just went to town and sewed all over to put the pieces down. Had these fibers laying around, thought they'd add a little texture to it, and it's in an embroidery hoop. I bought this embroidery hoop, I don't know why, because I don't embroider yet. Who knows? Never say never. And so I just thought it might make an interesting wall hanging, so it does. It hangs over in a corner somewhere. So anyways, what to do with your scraps? There's lots of things to do with your scraps. Just putting that behind me and hope I don't fall off my chair. So, what's coming up next? All right, so the YouTube channel of the week. Now, don't turn me off when I say this. I'm doing the YouTube channel for Michaels. Watch this and then I'll explain why I included this in this week's vlog. This week's YouTube channel is Michaels Stores. Now, we all have a love-hate relationship with Michaels, as I know. If it wasn't for the coupons, we probably wouldn't buy what we do there. But we all know that Michaels is sucking us in by using their coupons. However, having said that, they do have a YouTube channel which highlights new products and how to use them. The videos are all very short, and obviously they have been made to entice us to come into the store and buy these products. But nevertheless, you can glean some real inspirational ideas from these short little videos. So I use the Michaels Stores YouTube channel when I'm having a creative block. Sometimes it just helps me get my juices flowing. So you might want to check it out if you don't know about it already. And so that's Michaels Stores, and I have the link for the YouTube channel in my links below. Okay, we all have a love-hate relationship with Michaels, right? We love to hate them. It's as simple as that. They suck us in with the coupons. That's why we hate them, because we know we're being sucked in by the coupons. We know their markup on their products is astronomical, but we still go. Well, I did want to show you that YouTube channel because it is an advertisement for Michaels products and for what Michaels does, but there are ideas, so we shouldn't dismiss that. And that's the only thing you get from Michaels that's free is that YouTube channel. So that's why I included it and the links below. Okay, so this week's person of interest is Roxanne Anderson. She's a fellow Canadian. She's out in BC, British Columbia. and very, very active in the crafting community. She teaches classes. She belongs to a group there. She's in the Okanagan Valley, which is also one of the main wine making districts of Canada as well, I believe. And I think I was there once, many, many years ago. I think I was, not sure. Anyways, very interesting lady, as you're going to find out. So here's her profile, and I'm also featuring some of her latest project and clips from her website. So this week's featured personality is Roxanne Anderson, and she has a website called Apricot Cottage Studio. And I'm going to read to you what Roxanne wrote to me. Hi, Stephen. I liked your suggestion about community, so I'm replying to your request. I'm a multimedia artist who is also just learning to quilt. My webpage is apricotcottagestudio.wordpress.com, and I've put the link in the comments below. I live in the wine capital of Canada. Yes, it is officially recognized as this by the Queen, and we have a letter to prove it. It is a little town in the southern end of British Columbia surrounded by vineyards. It is in the only desert in Canada, too. We moved here when I retired from teaching as a principal in the big city of Calgary. There are no craft shops nearby, so I became a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in order to meet like-minded people. I teach 2 paper crafting classes a month to groups, but I dabble in all kinds of art. I belong to a group called Surfaces Mixed Media Group of Southern Okanagan that meets each week in our large art center. We have a Facebook page that you can request to join. We have an incredible variety of talents and have been teaching each other quilting, painting, printmaking, glass sculpture, etc., etc. My specialty is bookmaking and journals. Love that. I'm into bookmaking as well. I also volunteer and teach art to handicapped adults once a month at Creatabilities. How I started? Both my parents were artists. My dad was a cartoonist and ran a magazine called Strip Scene. My mum was a couture seamstress. She sewed for the young Queen Elizabeth in England. Wow. And made beautiful costumes. Later they created a puppet play together that toured in Western Canada. I have been a scrapbooker for years. I have over 130 albums completed. Oh my God. Mostly 6x9 pages for my 2 beautiful grandsons now. I used to make complicated pages, but I keep it pretty simple now. I enjoy your blog and watch it each week. I like the creative suggestions as you often focus on what I'm working on too. Roxanne Anderson. So thank you, Roxanne, for that. I find your background fascinating. 130 albums. I thought having about 30-something albums was a lot, but oh my God, I don't know where you store them. And your mother sewed for Queen Elizabeth? That's fascinating, because I am fascinated about anything that has to do with the royalty. And you live in BC, and you're a fellow Canadian, and that's great. My brother lives in Abbotsford, BC as well. So again, thank you so much for that information, and everybody should go and look up her webpage at apricotcottagestudio.wordpress.com, and I've put the link, as I mentioned, down below. Thanks again, Roxanne. That was great. And this is just a little addendum to Roxanne's profile. She sent me the other day some pictures of a project she had just finished, and I'm sharing these pictures with you, as you can see. She writes, "Hi Stephen, I thought I would send you some pictures of my large multimedia canvases that I will post on my webpage. These are large 3x4 pieces, 3x4 foot pieces. They're gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I've got to try that." And as you know, I would love to profile you. Yes, you. You know who I'm talking about. And don't be shy and don't be modest. We all have talents. We all are individuals. We all craft in various modes, techniques, styles. So why not share that with everybody else? This is a friendly vlog. This is a friendly community. And I would love to profile you. So I have the guide questions, which you are free to stick to or go right off topic with. Tell me as much or as little as you want to tell me. It's always great if you can send me a link to examples of your work or of your website or of your YouTube channel or whatever, because then I can include them in the profile like I did with Roxanne's. as you know, I think it's a way to bring us a little closer together as we share. And it doesn't always have to be all about me, although it is. Okay, so what's up? Okay, new links below. I have a lot of links this week, and I want to explain what those are. I have the link to Stephen and Walter Live that we did yesterday on Sunday, and I'm just making a note here that I forgot to put the link in my notes, but I will. And so we have a lot of fun doing that, and I'm really enjoying the feedback I'm getting from that and the conversations when we do the live. Live is very different from doing something like this, although I don't do any editing, like you can't tell. I hate editing. The only editing I do is when I do the YouTube channel of the week and the profile of a person of interest. And the only reason, and those aren't even really edited, I do those pretty much in one take, but I make them as segments that I embed into the vlog later. So, you know, when you're doing something live, anything can happen, and it often does. So I've got a new segment called Whatever. I've put my first one up. It's about the Janome sewing machine that I bought. My idea about doing this is to create a series of really short little videos, 5 to 7 minutes in length, you know, which are easily viewed in a sitting. They're not like the vlogs or the live, which are much longer. And this is also just at my whim. Whatever I think might grab other people's interest, whatever I feel like doing on a particular day when I do it. They're quick. They could be on anything. They will not necessarily all be about quilting or crafting or scrapbooking. They could be anything. For example, after I finish this vlog today, I'm going to do one about how I make these vlogs, because I've had people ask me, well, what's your setup? And I'm always interested in other people's setups for their YouTube channels. Like, what's their equipment? How do they do it? Because really, people don't think about showing you that, the behind the scenes kind of thing. So that's what I think I'm going to do one on today. And I'm going to do another one about a little piece of software that I use to keep track of my lists of ideas, my notes for my vlogs, things like that. Like I said, they're going to be very short, to the point, even created a new introduction for them, and we'll see how that goes over. And if you have ideas, you know, where I could make short little videos about things, let me know. Of course, I'll be making all kinds of other videos as well as the year goes on, as I usually do. But this is just something quick and dirty, okay? I've got the Michael Store channel listed below. I have Roxanne's Apricot Cottage Studio link, her website. I've linked Fragance X. That's the company that I mentioned that I was ordering my cologne from, and I was taking a chance, and there'll be a little bit more about that later. But just to let you know, excellent site. I've got something called Quilted Scrapbooks. This is a book. I've decided to add a new segment to my vlogs, little book reviews, but book reviews about things I've had laying around here for years that, you know, I've kind of forgotten about, but were really good at the time. And some of these are still available. Some of them might be harder to get. We'll see. But I thought I'd just briefly talk about them. And somebody mentioned this idea to me. And so I've got the link for this, but I'm going to talk more about that particular book in a moment. And a technique link to Mike Deakin. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. And also there's something down there below about, says called Please Help Your Fellow Arts and Crafts Creators. This is also a link to a section on Mike Deakin's YouTube channel. And I'm going to talk about that issue too, because that's a very serious issue. And if you tuned in yesterday to Stephen and Walter Live, we were discussing it then as well. So I won't belabor the point when I get to it, but I'm just, for those of you that haven't seen Stephen and Walter Live yet, I will bring it up because it's serious. So what's pissing me off this week? And I've written here in my notes, why can't we get good service anymore? All right. the reason this comes to mind is because of the excellent service I've been getting at the Ultimate Sewing store that I've been going to buy my quilting stuff and etc. So in way of talking about bad service, I'm going to talk about good service. Here's good service. Okay? Good service is when you walk into a store, especially a small store, you know, a specialty shop of some sort. Somebody greets you. Now, not like a Walmart greeter, okay? Walmart greeters are all over you as soon as you walk into the place. Walter told me that he had read the reason there are Walmart greeters is not necessarily to make you feel welcome at Walmart. It's a security system. They're checking you out. They're seeing what you're bringing into the store, things like that. Now, I've never had it happen to me, but I have seen in our Walmart, the Walmart greeter will come up if someone's walking in with a bag or a backpack or something like that. And I don't know what they do. They either tag it, or I don't know if they have a place where you can put it down or whatever. I think they just tag it. But that's a security system so that you're not loading up with products and walking out of the store. So when you think they're being real friendly and the whole bit, that's a disguise. They're checking you out to make sure you're not a potential thief. Well, and okay, fine, that's the way our world works, I guess now. But in a small store, like at something like Ultimate Sewing, I walk into the store and within 30 seconds or so, somebody just casually walks over and go, "Hi, how are you? Is there anything I can help you find?" And that's great. And if you say, "I'm just browsing," they don't belabor the point. They don't give you a dirty look. They go, "Okay, well, if you need any help, just holler. I'll be right there." Now, I used to do the same thing when I worked at Class Act, the scrapbooking store, as well. So right off the bat, you get an air that these people are here to help you. It's friendly. It's an inviting, comfortable environment. Now, I especially appreciate that because I'm a man. And when I walk into a sewing store or even a craft store, you sometimes get the evil eye. Like, are you in the right place? Or they come over and go, "Hi, can I help you?" Like, what they're really saying in the subtext is, "Are you really sure you should be here?" And then, of course, they inevitably say, "So, are you looking for something for your wife?" And if Walter's with me, I go, "No, he's right here. I don't need anything." That puts me off immediately with that. I know that they're not doing it intentionally to be rude or anything, but it's just that attitude. Now, at the Ultimate Sewing store, there wasn't any question the fact that I'm a man. I obviously knew where I was supposed to be, is what the subtext said. So we will help you out just like we would help a woman out, or even the way we would help out an experienced quilter. I'm a rank beginner. So they made me feel very comfortable. They empowered me to feel that I could do this, and that was all within the first minute of being in the store. So that right off the bat just went right up in customer service. Now, the other thing that's really good about this store is if you have any questions, they don't look down their nose. Like, if you were to say, "Okay, I'm looking for a sewing machine. Which one of these things is a sewing machine?" You could say that, and they wouldn't miss a beat. They go, "Well, let me show you these," or "Let me talk about them." So any question, no matter how minor it may seem, they have no problem answering it. And they are knowledgeable, and that's good service. You know, you walk into, like, let's take Michael's, for example. I'm sorry, but the vast majority of the people I've come into contact with at Michael's do not know a thing about the products. Now, yeah, granted, there are a lot of products that know things about, and no one person could know everything about everything. I get that. I know. I worked in retail, in scrapbooking store, and I didn't know about everything. Well, that's not true. I did know about everything. Okay, that was just me. I made it a point to take on my own time to find out about new products that were coming into the store, how to use them, YouTube, that kind of stuff. So I wanted to help people out. It's also great for sales. You know, if you go on, "Oh yeah, this is great, you can do this, this, and this with it," you're going to sell something as well. But at Michael's, they're not even sure where something's located in their bloody store. I don't know how many times I've walked in there, asked for where would I find blah blah, and they go, oh. And that's what they do. This, oh. Okay, I can see the wheels have stopped turning. And they don't know what to tell you. Or they just don't have any knowledge. Now, the turnover of employees at Michael's stores, I think, is fairly great. So, of course, somebody who hasn't been there very long hasn't got the experience yet. It takes time. I have never taken one of Michael's classes. I don't think I ever would. I've seen them listed. They look pretty Mickey Mouse, quite frankly. I don't even think they're necessarily that great for a rank beginner to come in and take one of those classes, because I don't trust the information they're going to get. Now, of course, where they get these instructors, I don't know. I am assuming that some of the instructors are from outside of the employee staff, or maybe not. I don't know. So, of course, you know, teachers are all different. So, you know, the level of competence varies as well. But when I'm at the Ultimate Sewing Store, doesn't matter who I'm speaking to, they know what they're talking about. That's why when they sort of suggested that they're looking for another person and that maybe I would be a good fit, I said no, because I don't know what those people know. And they're quilters and they're sewers as well, so they have practical experience with it. So again, and if I did ask something that they did not know well, there was somebody else there in the store that they immediately got to help me out with that. And this is a busy store. It's a small store. It's loaded to the rafters with lots of products, but it's busy. And yet they make time for everybody. And I don't find myself standing there looking around, tapping my foot, waiting for somebody to wait on me. They get right down to business with it. So again, good customer service. Then there's the after purchase service as well, which makes the store really great and great service. I bought a sewing machine. I was told anytime if I needed a lesson on something, if I had questions about it, not to hesitate. Call them, come in, whatever. They also offer you incentives. Again, customer service. I just dropped $2,500 before tax on a new sewing machine. Little bonus, any material, any fabric that I buy in that store from now on, I get 10% off. It's a little thing, but it makes me feel welcome. You don't get any discounts at Walmart or at Target. Those places, no. You buy it, that's it. And after purchase service, pretty much sucks. Yes, at Walmart, you can take things back. And usually it's not difficult to return something to them. However, that's not after purchase service. If I bought something at Walmart and I didn't know how to work it or whatever, neither would they. I would get no, they'd tell you to go to a website or something like that, or they just go, I'm sorry, I really don't know. Okay, so again, not great service. Now, in this day and age of retail, the big box stores, things like that, yeah, we can't expect personalized service out of it. But the smaller mom and pop stores, those kind of things, it can make or break them. If they are not welcoming, if they have attitude, if they don't give a crap about you after you've bought something from them, they're not going to survive. They're not going to last. Simple as that. It's not going to hurt the big box stores because they sell on volume. So really, what am I pissed off about is how a lot of stores see you just as a cash cow and don't treat you like an individual, and they don't seem to care about helping you out with whatever you're buying. I guess it goes back to the good old days, back in the frontier days, you know, or at least the Little House on the Prairie thing, where the general store and the guy knew everybody's name and he could help you with everything, and you know, it was a social event. It's kind of a social event at this Ultimate Sewing, and it was a social event when I worked at, and still is, at Class Act. People came in, you got to know the customers got to know you, and people wanted to spend more time in your store. And if people spend more time in your store, they tend to buy more products. So it's a win-win for everybody. Okay? So anyways, customer service, it sucks a lot. We need to go back to the individualized personal service. Okay, so product reviews and new stuff. Okay, I have a link for Fragance X, as I already mentioned. That's where I bought my cologne. My cologne is Aramis. I've been wearing it for 40 years. I love this stuff, and as I've mentioned to you before, it's very difficult to get in a store anymore. Found this spot on the web. I was hesitant to order from them, but I'll tell you this, there's no need to be hesitant with this particular company. Excellent customer service, going back to what I was pissed off about. Got it very, very quickly, and it's the original. It's not a knockoff, it is the original. So I've got enough Aramis to last me another 40 years. And the prices were fantastic, and even though it was in US dollars and there was shipping, it was still one bottle I pay 110 to 120 Canadian dollars for. I got 2 bottles, the same size as what I usually buy, for about $91 total Canadian, including the shipping. So for less than the price of 1 bottle, I got 2. So I'm impressed. So check them out if you're looking for perfume or cologne. Okay, what else is on my list here? Okay, I got some new Mike Deakin stencils. You know how I love Mike Deakin stuff. And these are his latest ones. This is January release. And they look really cool. And again, if you are not familiar with Mike Deakin's products, go to his website, mikedeakinart.com, and go to shop, his shop that's on there, and you'll see all of his stencils, his chipboard, and his digital downloads. I think I pretty much own almost everything that Mike Deakin has ever made. Might be just 1 or 2 things I've never gotten. And always very pleased with them. I think the prices are reasonable, considering that his prices are in pounds. But his shipping is flat rate. It's good, and they come very quickly as well. So do check that out. I also bought a few little its and bits for my quilting. Of course, I am a klutz, and a rotary cutter scares me. Had a bad incident once with a mandolin, as I mentioned before. The kind that slices, not the kind you play. And so I'm very, very cautious of my fingers, because those blades are sharp. So I got a safety glove, this little thing. And you wear it on your hand, the one that you're using to hold your ruler and things down, and away you go. And this is supposed to protect your hand. It's also got these little rubbery bumps on it, which are great for gripping, I find, when you're trying to hold something down on your sewing machine. In fact, I'm just wondering, there are gloves you can get for doing free motion quilting, so you can, you know, manipulate the material a little better as you slide it around. And I'm just wondering if that's what these would do as well. I think they would. I'll have to ask them at the store about it. But here's the ironic part. This is what they're called, and I saved the packaging. They are called klutz glove. Okay? Perfect for me. So I got that, and I got this little thingy. It's a chalk writer. It's got powdered chalk in here. And yeah, I know, okay, some of you are laughing at me right now going, he's getting excited over chalk writer. I mean, anybody who sews knows all about these. Remember, I'm new to this. This is great. I got it, and it's got this flat little point on it, so I can trace inside quilting stencils, put the marks on the quilt, and then I can free motion quilt along those lines. And then I guess you just sort of wash it, or she said if you pounce it with your hand in that, the chalk comes off. So I got one of those. Did I buy anything? Oh yeah. Okay. Again, you'll laugh. Those of you that are sewers, you'll think, oh, what an idiot. Know your needles. I have no idea what the number on needles means. This little book helped me out with this, and what needles to use for what. So great little guide. So I have that tucked away with my sewing machine. Great little reference thing. Learning all the time. Let's see. What else have I got on here? My foldable ironing board. It's on behind me here. Okay. So I had one of those pads that's on a cutting board kind of a thing that you see all the time. I think they call it a quilt and press. And I warped it. And I inadvertently, I used the side of it for cutting. And then I went to press and I forgot to flip it over to the pressing side. So I put the iron onto the plastic side and I warped it. I tried to add heat to it with a heat gun and that and bend it back. No such luck. Also, I think it was warping because when I was using the steam iron, the steam went right through the pad to the plastic and it was warping it too. So I went into the store and I said, I need a new ironing pad for pressing. And I said, I warped. She said, let me guess, you warped it, didn't you? I went, yeah. She said, yeah, it happens all the time. So I was looking at different things and I saw this. And she herself, and when I say she, I mean Shirley, the owner of the store, she uses this all the time. It folds up. Little legs. So you can lay it, it's hard to get it in the whole shot, but you know, it looks like a mini ironing board. So you can take this with you. If you're going to a quilting retreat or whatever, it has little legs on the back, so it will sit up on your table as well, a little higher, and folds right up. And so the way I've been using it lately is in the fold-it mold, just like that, over the top. The best part about this is the price. Just putting it back here before I drop everything off. The other one that I had that I warped cost me about 50 bucks at a fabric store. That one was 40, and it's a much better pad. So I'm really happy about that too. I'm all about the toys. Let's see, what else? Okay, so speaking of new toys, it's the time of the year when they have Creativation. It used to be called the CHA show. And of course, I've been watching on the weekend all the live YouTube videos that have been coming through about all the new products. Not impressed. Nothing much new under the sun. Everything's a variation on a theme. Yeah, so I'm going to save some money that way. There's a few little items I'm interested in, but for the most part, I'm very disappointed in this year's Creativation with the videos I've seen so far. Nothing really new. Some things are just plain stupid. Here's an example. We Are Memories. They're the people who make the sewing machine you could buy, that cheap piece of crap, that's supposed to, you know, use baker's twine through it and stuff like that. They had a typewriter. Okay, actually, I'm looking around. I keep my eyes open for an old vintage typewriter. I used to have a couple. Who knew? Got rid of them 20 years ago or more out of that. I don't know why I want one. Because really, you can go on your computer and you can pull up a font that looks like an old typewriter style font. So why? I don't know. But if I could get one for nothing or next to nothing, maybe. I'll see. But anyways, they have one as well. But they also are famous for all their punch boards that they make. You know, the ones that make envelopes, make banners, cut out letters, do pages for your planners. Oh, so many different ones they've got. I know they have a lot because I've bought most of them. And where are they now? They're sitting in a drawer. They were fun for a moment, and then they sat in a drawer. Now, having said that, I ordered another one, and this one cuts square, just squares. It cuts squares, but it's adjustable for the size of squares. And I do something doing a mosaic type of layout, and I've taught this in a class, and I just thought it might be good for that. So I did order one of those. But here's where the stupid part comes in. They have one so you can make a tag. You take a rectangle of paper, you cut the corners off, you punch a hole in the top, you've got a tag. You go to a stationery store, an office supply store, you buy a box for under $10 of 500 shipping tags. You have tags galore. Why do you need a little cutting system to make a tag. Scraping, but they're not done. No, there's more. They're pushing dynamo guns. Remember dynamo guns? The plastic tape that's in them. You had the dial on the top. You dialed to each letter, squeezed the handle. It pushed up through the plastic, made an embossed, you know, letter. You could spell words and things like that. Yeah, they have those. They have those. Now theirs are a little bit of an upscale model. They have interchangeable wheels for different fonts on them, and they will take a wider tape that they have created. Okay, fine, but really? There's all kinds of machines. Brother has a whole bunch of ones, even one that prints on ribbon. And actually, it's a pretty good little machine. I bought that a year ago. It was a new thing that came out at Creativation last year, and I got one. I don't use it that often, but I use it sometimes. But you know, really, it's a dynamo gun. I am sure you can find an old, cheap dynamo gun somewhere in your house. I mean, I've got umpteen, no, million of them. That's a bit of a hyperbole, but I mean, I've got all kinds of them. In fact, a few years ago, the people who made the Smash journals, if you remember those, they came out with their own little mini dynamo guns. And I actually bought several of those because I was doing a class where we were going to use those. They weren't that expensive, but I've got a bunch of those too. Don't need another dynamo gun. Oh, and this just this morning I saw, okay, maybe they're trying to bring it back. You ever made candles? When I was a kid, I was big into candle making. I think I still have in my crawl space my box of supplies, you know. I went out and I bought steel molds, and I could make them scented and colored and things like that. I used to call them occasional candles, and I'd sell them door to door. I call them occasional candles because occasionally they'd blow up. That's a story for another day. My father used to like to tell that story of when I was making candles. But, you know, today, for safety reasons, most people prefer the flameless candles. I do. And you can get some nice ones that look like wax, but they take batteries and they have a remote control. And that's all I have in my house because, quite frankly, I could be a firebug, and I have been known to leave a candle burning all night. You know, dinner party, it's on the table, had a few bottles of wine, good time, people left, I went to bed. Some people call that passing out. And next morning, found a big pile of wax on my dining room table because I left the candle. So I don't do real candles anymore. But they have a thing for making a candle. Now, it is kind of cool because, you know, basically it's a big pot that heats up. You drop your wax into it, and then it's got a little spout, and you put, they have these molds that just make little, you know, round little pillar candles. You put it underneath the spout, turn on the spout, pours in the wax, and you've got a candle. They have wicks for them. They have colors you can put in with them too. And it's $100 American. That's what they said. Personally, I can't see the use for that. It's a neat little novelty. How many candles does one person need? And if you can only make them, now I don't know, they didn't say there was any other molds, but if you can only make like pillar ones out of it, like I used to make shape candles, stars and things like that. I don't know. I really think they're grasping, and other companies are doing similar things. Ranger has come out with something called Letter It. It's just old products repackaged, like perfect pearls, some rubber stamps, that kind of thing. And they repackaged it all to make it seem like it's new and it's a system. They always have these systems now, which is basically a collection of old products that they're putting together, show you a couple of techniques, and it gets you to buy more product because, you know, it's a system, but you have to buy all the parts for it. So I'm not seeing anything that was really turning my crank so far, but I continue to watch. So Creativation, a little disappointed in it today. Not that much creative to it. Okay, so we're getting a little long here. Let's speed things up. Okay, book review. Well, I bought a few new things. I haven't really looked at them. Magazine, Quilting Quickly, Machine Quilting. But I also bought, I love the Stampington and Company magazines. And I bought one that I was never interested in before, but now suddenly I'm interested. So Somerset, that's where I got the idea for that hoop. I saw it in there. And some interesting arty kind of things. This is not sewing, you know, an apron. This is more like, you know, putting together, oh, opened it right up to the page, embroidery hoops. That's where I saw the idea. But they have different arty kind of things, you know, mixed media. And then of course, Somerset Studio, the Art of Paper and Mixed Media. I love this. I love the pictures, the illustrations. Get the glare off. They've got some really neat ideas, color combinations, the whole bit. They even come with some papers. I usually cut those out and put them in my stash. It's a great magazine. They're not particularly easy, I find, in my area to get my hands on. You could subscribe to them. Subscriptions are fairly pricey, but these magazines are fairly pricey. You would save more money if you did a subscription with them. But like this one, $11.99 Canadian. This one, $16.99 Canadian. So they're not a cheap magazine, but they are a great source of inspiration. So on this little new segment that I want to do, that I mentioned already, I want to talk about different resource booklets that I have bought over the years and have quite frankly forgotten about. And this is one, Quilted Scrapbooks. Anything you do in the design of a scrapbook, you can do in paper as well. And I had forgotten all about this book until somebody mentioned to me about using paper to do scrapbooking. I thought, wait, I've got a book about that. So this is one. It's by a company that doesn't exist anymore called Memory Makers. They used to have some really great books. You can still get this. I believe well, I found the link for this on Amazon. So it's still available, but you might be able to get it in a used format as well, because as I said, this company doesn't exist anymore. But they take basic quilt patterns and do them out of paper as backgrounds. So I thought I would do one myself. And so this is kind of a mixed bag. But here's log cabin. I'm not sure what they call that one with the triangles, and down here. And so I put like about 4 or 5 basic scrapbooking patterns together on a 12 by 12. I backed them onto a 12 by 12 piece of white cardstock. And then I added stitching lines using black and down here white pens. So you got a quilted background. And I just stuck this in the middle here. This is a project I did some time ago, making cards with, I forget what product I used on that. Oh, it's a shimmer stuff. Anyways, I think I did a video about this as well. I just stuck that in the middle. Just, you know, you could put your pictures on or do whatever. So, you know, if you're not into sewing, but you like the look of quilts, that's the way to go. And of course, I didn't use really any fancy paper, but you know, scrapbooking papers are beautiful. You could probably do something very elaborate looking for a background. You could even make it into a card, whatever. So, lots of ideas in this book. Quilting Scrapbooks by Memory Keepers, and I have a link to where this book is available if you're so interested in it. And I think you can get it for as cheap as under $5. I paid a lot more for it. Yeah, I paid, price tags on the back of it, $35.99 at the time that I bought that. And this is going back probably 10, 12 years ago. So, anyways, in future vlogs, I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about another resource that may or may not be able to get, but we'll give you some ideas about doing things. Okay, speaking of ideas for doing things, inspiration lists and tips. 2 things I've been thinking about. One is using flexible modeling paste in a pastry bag or a Ziploc bag with the corner cut off to make a, you know, ghetto pastry bag, and piping it onto a canvas. And you know, you can colorize modeling paste and things like that. It would give texture. You'll have a little bit of more control. It's kind of freehanding, but it might be kind of interesting. I've been thinking about trying that. Where I came up with that idea was I was watching a YouTube video about making cake decorating. I kind of thought, well, you know, they use a lot of products that I still question whether they're edible or not, but they have like molding chocolate and things like this, and they're squeezing them out of pastry bags and they're doing some elaborate designs. And I'm thinking, well, why can't you do that with flexible modeling paste? Not the regular one, the flexible one, because I think if you use the regular one, it would end up crumbling. So that's an idea. And another idea is background tissue using paper towels. Not an idea original to me. Mike Deakin was doing this, and he got some really great results. He was just using a paper towel, or what they call it in England, the kitchen roll, or kitchen tissue, or something like that, and he was stamping and painting all over it to make his own, basically, tissue paper. So I have put a link to that particular video down below to check that out. I haven't done it yet, but it's another one of my long list of projects of things I must try. Okay, so events in the past week. Had everybody over here from the art gallery that are on the education team, the volunteers. We had a nice lunch, and that was great. And we talked about our concerns about the new curriculum that we have not been part of yet. But they invited us to come later in the week over to the art gallery and see what it was all about. And I have to say I was impressed. It's very involved. It's very exciting. And the comfort level of some of the educators, it scares them away. It is more like what I used to do when I was a teacher, so I'm really not afraid of it. But some of the other ones don't have a teacher's background, so they're a little bit intimidated by it. But I think it's a really great program, so I'm impressed, and I'm wondering when they'll start to get us involved with it. But anyways, yeah, so that was the events in the past week. And what's coming up? Somebody's going to turn 60 on Saturday. Guess who? Not me. I'm already there. Walter. It's Walter's 60th birthday. So I've been bugging him. I've been saying, what do you want for your birthday? And I get the same answer. I don't know. I don't know. Where do you want to go for your birthday? For dinner? I don't know. I don't care. It gives me a lot to work with. So he says, you don't have to get me anything. And we are very difficult people to buy for, okay? Because we buy what we want when we want it, really. Last year, Walter bought me a new iPad. It's actually the one I'm using right now to film this vlog. I had one before, but he got me a better one, more memory. The other one I've had for a few years. I still use it on my treadmill in the morning. I'm one of those kind of people that I like to, if someone gives me something nice, I like to give them something as nice back when the opportunity comes up. And I really don't have any ideas. So I have got him something, but I can't tell you what it is. It's not that exciting, but it's something. And I don't know where we're going to end up, where I'll be taking him for dinner. I'm still waiting for him to come up with the answer. I suspect we're probably going to the keg. We like the keg. And that's where we went on my birthday. And that's fine by me. But I'll go anywhere he wants to go. So anyways, that's coming up. It's his 60th. And I don't know if he's really excited about turning 60 or depressed about it, that kind of thing. But as I've always said, well, yeah, you get older. What's the alternative? You know? So the last thing I want to talk about, my final comments, and I have a link below for this, is that YouTube, long story short, we talked about this at length on Stephen and Walter Live. YouTube sent me an email the other day saying that my second channel, which it's a channel I created for the scrapbooking store when I was working there, and I don't do much with it anymore. It only has maybe 100 subscribers, if that, and like I said, I haven't put up a video on it in a while. So they are now have a new policy. If you do not have a minimum of 1,000 subscribers, and if you do not have a minimum of 4,000 views in a year, you can no longer monetize your YouTube channel. Now, what's monetization? It's the ads. You get paid every time somebody watches one of your videos. You don't get a lot. You only get a few cents. I don't even know how much it is. I do know I have made a little money from my YouTube videos, but all I've made is, at the most, in 4 years, I have made maybe 400 bucks. So it's not a lot of money. And I certainly don't look at it as a supplement to my pension or anything like that. But the thing is, and this does not affect me. I have over 4,000 views in a year, and I have a subscriber base now of over 2,300. Still small potatoes in the big world of YouTube, but nevertheless, this is not a threat to me. But it is a threat to some stations or some channels that are just starting up, and because these are, many of them are the arts and the crafts kind of YouTube channels, it's a niche, and you don't attract thousands upon thousands of views for every video you make, because unless you're somebody that's a big name, well known out there, you just don't. It's incentive for people to create content. That's the way I look at it. It also gives me an idea as to, you know, am I going in the right direction? Because if I have, it sort of monitors how many people are watching my videos and things like that. So Mike Deakin has a great video on his channel, it's linked below, where he's talking about this whole situation. And he's also posted a list of small arts and crafts kind of YouTube channels that he would like us to go to, and subscribe to, or at least view some of the videos to up their numbers so they don't get canned. The cutoff date for this is February the 20th. That's when this new policy of YouTube will go into effect. So you might want to go to his site, look at the list, and help these people out. I'm going to do that. The other thing too is that there's a whole bunch of YouTube channels on there I didn't know existed. So it's a great resource as well. So I've put the link to all of that in the notes below. So I hope you will do what you can to help out these other people, because it's a great community on YouTube of crafters. We learn so much, we're inspired by so much. So we need to support them. So on that note, I hope you have a great week. And Stephen and Walter Live will be this coming Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time as usual. So I hope you can tune into that. And I'll see you next Monday, and make sure you check out my whatever new video series. Bye-bye for now.